Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of General Geekery. I am Brian, and as always, with me is JD. And since
Hello.
Alice has decided to come and join, Jabba the Mutt, I got her a little Chewbacca chew toy since I started calling her Jabba the Mutt, and
So
it's her new favorite toy.
so she can bring you the Wookiee.
Exactly. So yeah, she's gonna curl up and watch the show.
Aw, cute.
I got a shipping notice on my classified ferret, but it doesn't look like it's going to be here for 8, 7, 6, another week because they're shipping it by slow boat from China. Well, from wherever. So,
Um, yeah, I forgot to order that, so I'll get one eventually. But um, I did order a Stinger, so
excellent.
um, that boring ass driver.
I'll take
Um,
it.
oh, I know you will, but there's plenty of ways to pep it up. There's plenty of other things they could have included. I know why they went with it,
Here,
but
of course not. What else are you going to put in there besides a Stinger driver?
well, something more interesting to start with.
No,
It
that
was a boring ass figure in 1984.
no, it wasn't.
The update is a boring ass update.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was boring.
None of those things are true. But that's
Uh,
okay.
all,
It's okay to
all
be
of them are true.
wrong.
Um, of course, I knew that's exactly what they were gonna do, but I don't. I don't know. I guess if they'd use the trooper body, maybe with the shin guards, it might have been more interesting. I don't know.
I can see your point using different pieces for to kind of zhuzh it up a little bit, but
Yeah, I think mixing up the recipe a bit while keeping the same idea, I think that's more my thing. I mean, I understand back in '84 why they did it the way they did it because all the vehicles then either had most of them had unique drivers, but
they were mostly
the Stinger the Stinger was clearly a Cobra answer to the Vamp,
yeah.
and it was probably easier to take one of the available molds and repaint it. And at least they did the officer then and not the trooper
Yeah.
um, to set it apart. But yeah, I just feel like with the classified parts, I feel like they could have gone a slightly different, just mix it up a little bit. But I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm buying all the Tiger Force repaint, so what the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's you don't give yourself much room to talk on that.
no, but then I've never claimed to know anything either. So,
Fair.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of had to order the Stinger. Um,
I'm curious what what Gridiron's gonna do because I mean they made like 5 different upgrade packages for the Vamp. So I'm curious to see if they're just gonna repaint the ones that they have for the Vamp or if
oh,
they
I doubt it. I bet they're gonna make. I bet they're gonna make. I mean, like the Elite Operator case and whatever that will probably be the same. But
yeah.
I imagine enclosures and weapons and all that. I imagine they'll be very different from what they did for the Vamp.
I'm kind of
Uh,
hoping I'm looking forward to seeing what they do because I almost got a Vamp just because of the Gridiron stuff, but I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna hold out for a Stinger and see what they do with the Stinger.
um,
All right.
I imagine that the mad scientists at Gridiron are probably already working on the upgrade sets.
Oh, or they started working on those when they started working on the Vamp ones.
Yeah, because I know with the Vamp stuff, they were already designing it um, for a while before they had the Vamp in hand. All they were waiting for was to get the Vamp in mind, so they had the precise measurements of each of the pieces, so they could print them out. So I yeah, I do wonder what they'll do with the Stinger.
We need to give the
I'm sure it'll give it. I'm sure they'll give them different weapon loadouts for it instead of just the missile rack. Um,
And that's what I'm hoping for is that was probably my very first like vehicle customization was I took the gun off the vamp and put it on my Stinger when I was a kid.
yeah, the missile rack on a Jeep does not seem to be a particularly practical idea.
The next
Um,
yeah, exactly. And the next customization that I did actually probably even before that was I took the missiles from the pack rat um and put them on there instead of the missiles that it came with because the ones from the pack rat were two pieces. They were
I
red.
have I have never owned a pack rat before. I never owned the set when I was a kid.
That
So
was the only one I ever had was the missile launcher. I don't know. I
um,
don't even know why I had that, but
honestly, if it wasn't for the pack rats showing up in GI Joe the movie and they get activated by the BET's energy burst, I don't because I don't think they were ever in the Sunbow series otherwise. I don't think I even would have realized what the pack rats were when I was a kid because all my friends that I ever had in the different places where we moved to, I don't remember them ever having uh, the pack rat or really most of those little play sets like the bivouac. I never saw any of that stuff. Um,
and neither did I now that I think about it. But the pack rat is kind of the exception to that rule. I think the other thing that's going on with classified that people are kind of a little steamed about right now is Hasbro seems to have lost the latest retro line shipment somewhere because nobody has them. Everybody got shipping delay notices saying that they are not available right now, and they
which
don't.
figures? You mean the eel and the snow serpent?
And Beachhead.
Oh, okay. Um, what like the pre-orders all got pushed back?
Uh, Everybody got a notice saying that there was some sort of problem with shipping, and we don't know
Oh,
if it will be available.
oh, that
Ah,
sucks for the people who ordered them.
the Beachhead, and had planned on picking up the Snow Serpent when it became available, and was on the fence about the eel because I already have two eels. I was able to get another one, and plus the one that you got me. Um, so I still cannot figure out what the paint difference is between the retro and the original. Um, so I was just gonna get one just to like compare and contrast on the show. But yeah, all the got pushed back because they don't know where the shipment is more,
How?
you know,
Oh, that's like what's the word I'm looking for?
fucked up.
That's a clusterfuck.
Yes. Yes, I would agree with that completely. Speaking of clusterfucks, uh it I know I had made the announcement on the show and I had planned on playing it pretty close to the vest this year just to increase the interest in my customs that I donate to Make-A-Wish Foundation, but I have been trying to get a hold of the people that run the auction and crickets, man. So they have not updated their social media accounts since last year. There is nothing anywhere saying that the auction is going on. I've posted in like the Denver Fan Expo fan group pages.
Isn't that like soon? Shouldn't they have taken care of this? Oh, so
Yeah,
I'm
the
going to take a shot in the dark and say that that is not happening.
I that's what I'm afraid of. And this would have been the 15th annual one. So I mean it's not like they are throwing this together at the last second for the first time. This is something that they've been doing for a long time, know how to do. I've looked at I was Facebook friends with the gal that ran it, or at least ran the social media last year. She hasn't gotten back in touch with me. She hasn't done any. I've looked at her social media page, doesn't mention it at all.
sounds like the charity auction is off the table and possibly shuttered.
Yeah. So
Um,
I had planned on doing a couple of zombie Boba Fett custom figures for the Make a Wish Foundation auction, and uh, at this point in time, that project is on hold until I don't. It's not going to happen this year. If they do it next year, I will put those figures in that auction next year. But yeah, the convention is the 4th of July weekend, so that's not this coming weekend, but it's the next
oh
weekend.
yeah, so that's real soon. So
So
um,
they'd already asked to have the stuff by this point in time last year. So um which is fine because since I'd been kind of putting this project, knocking it back on my to-do list with other projects that I've been working on because I hadn't heard anything and I had other stuff that I wanted to work on, and it just I
that all
heard,
makes perfect sense.
yeah, so
Um,
the figures aren't ready to go anyway. So I
which figures were you going to use for it? Vintage collection?
yeah, I was gonna use vintage collection Boba Fett and the Army of the Dead Deadite figures. That's kind of my recipe for that particular custom. I've done a couple of those, and I don't own any of them. The first one I did was a zombie Django Fett, and I gave that to one of our previous guests, Sean Grogan, as a cake topper for his wedding. And I did another one or two for commissions. So I don't actually own that custom in my figures. So
Well, maybe you will at some point if the charity doesn't come back next year.
yeah, I'm gonna finish the figures, sit down and finish the figures maybe this 4 day, but because I don't have anything, I've got one other project that I'm working on right now. And it's just gonna be a repaint and a head with a little modification because I'm working on figures from the movie Heat. So I've got the Val Kilmer head coming from Spartan 118th. So I've got the body and the gun right here. I just need to modify the gun a little bit. And but on a more positive note for that convention, 4th of July weekend, I did finish um the custom that I'm going to get autographed this year, and that is my Adam Savage figure. So uh there is the final.
Oh, nice.
So I used a Marauder Task Force Buck for the regular Adam Savage figure, and then Iron Man 2, Iron Man Mark 1 figure for his cosplay, which he did. I think 2000, I don't remember, 2016, I think maybe he did for San Diego Comic-Con. And then there's the back.
Oh, that what if concept is brilliant for this because with the what if, anything is possible.
Exactly. So
Um,
that was the hardest part of this, honestly, was trying to decide what to do for the card. I didn't want to do something just specifically Mythbusters because Adam Savage has done a lot of stuff with his own stuff since Mythbusters.
yeah, doesn't he always show up at Comic Con in disguise like he's always cosplayed as?
Yeah, the big conventions like San Diego Comic Con, he's done Chewbacca, he's done a couple Iron Man armors. He did one of the Ewok suits from Alien, and an Apollo astronaut one time too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I mean he's a phenomenal cosplayer, and just like a stickler for details. So I am, of all the people that I've wanted to meet to have my work autographed, Adam Savage tops that list because I think he'll dig it the most.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he will. He, he, what I know of him is he loves fan interactions and he loves seeing what fans create of stuff and um figures based on him with the Marvel like a Marvel setting on the package. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure he'll dig that.
I'm looking forward to it. So I'm gonna do the autograph and photo op. That's kind of been my only regret that I didn't do with the guy that plays Jax Teller from like 2 years ago, was that I didn't get the photo op with him. So Charlie Hunnan, because Hunnan was super excited when he saw my figure and was super cool about it. So I kind of regret not getting the photo op, and I'm not going to do that again. So um,
Um, well,
hmm,
last weekend, I heard um on the radio they played a on the classic rock station they played a block of ACDC songs, and the last one was Back in Black before I got out of the car, and that immediately put me in the mood to rewatch the 2008 Iron Man movie. So I came in the house, I put down whatever bags I had, and I went in the living room, and my kid and I watched Iron Man. It had been a while since they had seen it, and it had been, I don't know, a year, maybe two, since I'd watched it. So, and I just, man, that movie, every time I watch it, it still gets the same thrill that it got the first time
yeah,
all those years ago. It still stands as one of the best of the MCU movies and the sole reason why the MCU exists in the first place.
and we've talked
Because
about the first time that you and I had both seen that, because you got to see it in the theater, and I was actually in Afghanistan when that came out.
yeah, and you were at Bagram when that came on board. Because when they show the the location on the screen and it says Bagram Air Force Base in the theater, I said to my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, I think that's where Brian is stationed right now.
Pretty close. I was in Kabul, but I had started off in Bagram Air Base. So
Um,
and they did a pretty good job, because that's about what it looks like. So I was pretty impressed with that. But yeah,
and the mountains there really are that extensive. So if somebody got lost in those mountains, it really would be a nightmare trying to find them.
yeah, it really would. So it's funny you should mention that, because Emily has "Shoot to Thrill" by AC/DC as the ringtone for me because of the Iron Man movie.
You know, ACDC was one of those bands that, well, we couldn't listen to when we were kids. And then I never really caught on with them when it was sort of it was one of those bands that they were sort of on my radar, but not really. But making ACDC the theme music or like anytime Tony Stark walks in the room or when Iron Man is flying around in the suit has forever sold me on that music. So I can't hear it without seeing Iron Man flying around in my head. And my favorite scene in that movie is when he's flying around and the jets are like bogeys on your tail, and then the plane flips over and he's like, no, it's a guy. He's in armor, and I just it's like I had to turn the volume off when we were watching it just for that scene. I love that scene.
Yeah,
Um, and I love that they continued using the ACDC music for the Tony Stark entrances through and past the Avengers movie.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
uh,
Let's see what else we got. I got some stuff to unbox.
well,
Uh,
good because I don't. So
um, I picked up this Star Wars Mandalorian Fleet Commander recently. Um, it's a pretty bland, pretty generic figure. Um, I don't know why I got it.
because it's a Mandalorian, and
Yeah,
why else do you need? What
that's
other reason is there?
good enough. Um, I'd say unless you're a completist, you can probably skip this one. It'll be fantastic, a fantastic buck for customs though. So the packaging is always something that I review, and Mine was fucked up. I'm glad I'm not keeping stuff on the card anymore because there was damage to to
I
the,
was gonna say, what is like? How did that get?
I don't know, it came that way. It looks
That's
like some
weird.
sort of like water.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is what? How did whatever happened before they shipped it? I'm like, what happened that you'd get that scrape? That's weird.
It is weird. It's annoying.
um,
That's one of the reasons that I don't. Oh, well, that's kind of annoying. It's an interchangeable head, not a helmet. So
oh,
yeah, so I'm gonna knock some points off of that because that could have just very easily been a helmet, and that would have been fine. He
I was
doesn't.
gonna say because it doesn't. The helmets they're making now don't. They're not oversized.
No, not
So and so they seem to have gotten the ratio correct with the helmet size and the head size so that they're not so it's not bulbous when they wear it. So that's kind of weird that they went with interchangeable instead of removable.
and it is because the head is the right size for a helmet too. So he also comes with a shitty little pistol and no holster. So I'm really not impressed with this figure. I mean the paint job is nice. The paint apps are really nice, but an
The
interchange,
head sculpt looks nice.
yeah, the head sculpt's not
Um,
bad.
I
That
I
would be
am annoyed that that character is just the Mandalorian fleet commander, which is what he was in that episode of the Mandalorian. But I am annoyed that he doesn't actually have a proper name.
I was kind of surprised by that too because I was like, wait,
Just like
his
they're
name.
making they're making some figures of some of the other Mandalorians from season 3, and one of them is like the Mandalorian judge, but again, he doesn't have a name. And then the Hawkbat battalion, some of those Mandalorians that we see in a group, they're just Hawkbat battalion. They don't have names. Not that they need names, not that it would add anything, but it just having grown up reading the expanded universe of Star Wars, where everything on screen and off screen got names, it just bothers me when they don't have names. Um,
Yeah, I would have to agree with that honestly.
because the last Mandalorians in the show that they gave names to were Cusker Reeves and Axe Wolves, and they say both of their names on screen,
Yeah.
but that's it. And the Armorer doesn't have a name, and that bothers me.
That
Um,
one I can kind of get. There's like some mythical mythos to who she is and what she does. So
yeah, you're right. That is a good point. And you know what? She probably it's probably her. It was probably her decision to go with the armor. But honestly, the character, you know, maybe the genericness of the Mandalorian judge. You're right because they're all from the Children of the Watch. They don't take their helmets off, so I can understand why maybe they don't want their individual name. Oh, but Pez Vizsla had a name. What the fuck? All right, the inconsistency is just gonna bug me, but it's the Star Wars nerd in me.
yeah, no, I it's funny you should say that because I had the same thought when I was getting ready to sit down to do the show because I got my Big Bad Toy Store order I guess last week. I just haven't had a chance to open it all yet. The stuff that I did open, I left upstairs and I forgot to bring it down because I was gonna review that. So I'll probably pause it here in a minute to go grab that stuff because it's really cool. Um, but the stuff I haven't opened, I've got sitting here. I don't know why I forgot to go get that stuff because we hadn't talked about any of this stuff on the show yet. So anyway, um, the stuff that I do have to open, I picked up just the Iron Man figures from the Iron Man retro line that just came out. So these are packaged on cards similar to the Toy Biz figures from the 90s, based on the animated series. I do like the I do like the I have to admit, I do like the retro style cards.
I
Uh,
like that they have the 90s style Marvel Comics logo from the corner of the comics in the corner of that card
yeah,
with the with that particular font and
yes.
the negative space comics. Yeah, I like that they went with it. I mean, I think it's like that on the Toy Biz packaging, but I like that they retained that for these modern releases.
I was gonna grab one of those figures actually, but I forgot. So um,
Dude, go grab one.
some of the more I see interesting figures for a specific reason because they're some of my favorite carded figures, but once they come off the card, these are some of my least favorite figures.
Well, only because they're fragile and break if you look at them.
That's just it. And the because they look super cool on the packaging because they've
They
got
do look cool.
the vac metal snap-on armor pieces, but once you take it off the card and put the armor pieces on, they all clip onto the front for most of the, like 90% of the figures. So if you look at the figure from the back, it just looks like garbage.
It's just plain, yeah.
It's really horrible, but um this is the Hydro armor, which is the only Iron Man figure that ever got made that's based off of that armor from issue. I believe that's 218.
They've never made a modern like a modern figure of the of
No,
that armor, right?
no.
Like
The
in either scale, they've never made one, right?
the original space armor, which I don't remember the issue number off of that. 142 maybe.
Oh, so they never made that one either. Okay.
They did
Um,
they did a really both of those got really, really nice statues. Um, but they never got figures. There's a really cool hydro armor and a real cool space armor statue based on those two particular armors, but they never got figures. This is the only hydro armor that's close to the comic book armor.
so the the Marvel Legends line, if they're going to keep making Iron Man, which they clearly are,
Yeah.
why not do the Hydro armor and why not do the space armor?
My two biggest
That
like,
yeah, I really like those. I like that they've retained that card design for these Marvel Legends releases.
no, it's fantastic. They did a really good job with this. Um, one of the cool things that they've started to retro cards, and I'm actually like starting to consider doing this on my own carded figures, is that um so I double side all of my custom carded figures. Here, where'd my Adam Savage go? So what I
Yeah,
do
keep going.
is, yeah, well, JD's doing that. I'm gonna unpackage some stuff here. Um, I print the front, I print the back, and I glue them to a comic book backing board. There's tutorials if you're watching. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're watching it on YouTube. And we host this show on my YouTube channel for Go Figure Customs. So if you are interested in learning how to make your own, there are tutorials on how to make your own. Um, one of the things that I also do or have done previously is window backed custom carded figures for my Sons of Anarchy cards. And what I've done with those is I've cut holes in the cards themselves, glued the the clear plastic and the blister to the comic book backing board, and then layered the card over each one so that the edges of the blisters in the window are underneath the packaging itself. And what what Hasbro has started to do with their cards is they're double layer carded, and the edge of the blister is underneath the card itself, which keeps it on the card a lot better. So
I
you're
was
not
gonna say then they're strong cards, so they're going to be harder to bend.
The cards are, well, not just that. The cards are stronger and more durable, but your blister's not going to fall off 30 years from now.
Oh, that is true because you've had a few that you'll text me and you'll complain that your glue, the glue isn't holding and they just fall off for whatever reason.
That happens to like production level figures. I've gotten
Oh
uh,
yeah,
like the G.I. Joe subscription service figures, where some of the later figures were notorious for falling off the card. My Crimson Guard Immortal, the the blister fell off the card. It seems
that
like
sucks because those were not cheap figures.
not cheap figures. And that's one of the reasons I started opening those figures is like, well, if the blister's just gonna fucking fall off, I might as well open the figure and put the figure on display. So I do like the fact that they are that the edge of the blister is underneath the top layer of the card, and I'm thinking about doing that myself from now on. To like double layer the card, almost triple layer the card. If I figure that out, like a good way to do that, there'll be an update to the tutorials that I just mentioned. But until then, let's open this. So this is the Iron Man uh, Model 1, the gold. Um, and I do have this. I don't, I want to, I was going to see if this is just a straight repaint of the original Toy Biz one. I kind of doubt that it is. But the only Toy Biz ones that I are still on the card and they're staying on the card because they're super old at this point in time, and I'm
What
not.
issue was Iron Man's first appearance? Was that Strange Tales
Tales of Suspense 39.
or Tales of Suspense? And he was wearing the gold armor there, right?
In the gray armor.
Oh, okay. All right. So was the gold armor, was that from Avengers 1?
I was gonna say Golden Armor didn't come in until my knowledge is a little scarce about that time point, but I think his first Golden Armor was Avengers #1.
Okay.
But
I can never remember which is which.
Gray Armor was first. Easy way to remember that, it's same as the Hulk. The
Oh,
gray.
that's right. The Hulk was gray at first, and then because of the color process.
So we have repulsor effects, which I have millions of. Just millions of them. I can't swing a dead cat in this house and not hit a
Throw
repulsor.
them in the bucket bucket.
Yep, repulsor or jet boot. Um, some wraparound smoke effects, which are kind of cool.
What are those for? The boots?
Uh,
Oh, like his firing arms.
yeah, I think it's supposed to be. Yeah, they're first boots. They're supposed to be boot jet effects. Let's do this. Probably like this. The attachment that I don't understand why we don't have is the roller skates.
Roller skates? Explain.
These old armors had roller skates built into the
Are
uh
you shitting me? I didn't know. I didn't know that. Oh, I see. Okay, so you've got the jet effect and the smoke from the jets. Okay,
which is kind of
that's
cool.
cool. Yeah, that I like that combination of pieces. That's cool. Although I think I'd lack the patience to bother with that past the first time or two today. But I do have a couple of the Marvel Legends Iron Man figures, and I don't know if any of the ones I have. I don't know if they come with those jet boot attachments. Um,
no,
I think all the ones I've got have the ones for the hands with the repulsors, but
he did come with extra hands. So we've got fists and then the repulsor style hand. Got one of those.
And I like that he's got his Hector Ramirez head. So,
Yes. I was going to mention the head on this one because they did a really good job with that. You can see the eyes painted underneath the in the helmet.
oh, that's cool. All right.
That's the first.
Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. That's a neat feature because
Yes.
I've got the 3 3/4 inch ones that I've got, or the 4 inch ones I've got. Yeah, they all just, there's nothing in there. So that's a cool attention to detail for that 6 inch figure.
And yeah, that head would be perfect for for a classified Hector Ramirez.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, it's a little bit Clark Gable, um, a little bit Charles Bronson. Either way, um,
It's a good, yeah. No, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it's a little bit of so yeah. All in all, the figure's pretty solid. Um, it's kind of that softer plastic, so I think it's going to last a little bit longer without breaking. The antenna, and be careful with the antenna. It is that's begging to be broken off.
I was gonna say it's not detachable. Okay.
That surprises me, but yeah, that's gonna be a frequently broken thing for anybody that uncards these. I expect to see this repainted in the gray at some point in time, but we'll see. All in all, I think it's a pretty decent figure. Customizing, again, that would look if you can do metallic paints, um, it would really the metallics on this particular figure are
Little
most
dull.
yeah, they're a little better on the forearms and the lower legs, but the chest is a the skirting is soft plastic and the chest is a softer plastic and they are not yeah, it's very dull. So I think if you had metallic paints, metallic gold paint, you could really make this pop by repainting it. And of course, if you're a purist and a completist, you need this figure in gray for reasons that we just discussed.
Um, would would a little bit of paint app, like a little bit of dry brushing, would it help at all disguise the no? Okay.
It
So
needs
it's gonna be noticeable either way.
it needs to be primered and done from scratch if you're going to do it because the paint on the extremities does not match the paint on the torso. For it's just like a shade off. I mean, it's not
Just enough to be really annoying to look at. Gotcha.
just enough that no, not quite that bad, but enough to know that like now that we've mentioned it, you're not going to be able to unsee it. So not
But
enough
if it's on the shelf, you're not gonna notice it. You're gonna have to get close to it to notice it. All right, that's cool.
on my shelves where there's 50 other Iron Mans that are different shades of gold. It'll blend right in. And I am finishing up putting up shelves probably tonight because I've got the last batch of shelves arriving sometime today. So I'm hoping to have all of my shelving up for my loose figures today. I mean, I've been working on this project for about 6 months now to get all of my loose figures on. I say a wall, but it's like essentially three walls, four walls that are connected. So I'm gonna do a video once I get that all taken care of.
Sweet.
Um, One of JD's favorite armors is the one I'm gonna do next. It is the Iron Man Model 9. This is kind of loosely based on the Bob Layton armor, neoclassic armor. However, this is more of the John Romita Jr. armor.
I wondered if that's the one you were talking about. Big clunky boots.
The
Um, Now, mind you, aesthetically, for the Iron Man armors, I like the big clunky boots.
it's not
Brian and I make jokes that you can always tell the John Romita Jr. art because everybody's feet look like cinder blocks wearing it in shoes. And so like the humans, like the normal civilians, I think his proportions are ghastly. I think they just look awful. But for Iron Man armors, I think it works perfectly. A little bit bulky for a robotic looking suit. I think that's awesome.
I
And
word for the nostalgia factor because I was that this was kind of my highlight of like the time that I was most into the comic books was when Bob Layton was doing the art for these, and shortly after that, John Romita Jr. took over. But so this was like the height of my comic book collecting era. Um, so I have a little bit of nostalgia factor for this particular armor, um, because this was basically the second armor.
I'll tell
Like,
you what, in the package, what I can see is it looks like there's a color difference between the red armor on the legs and the red armor on his forearms. And is that just my imagination, or are they
it looks the
okay? All right, because on the camera they look different, and it was bothering me, but I didn't know if it was just the way they looked in the package. Um,
lighting in here. Um,
and we make fun of John Romita Jr.'s art, but credit where it's due. His Daredevil series that he wrote and drew, the limited series, I read the shit out of that when I was a kid, and I didn't care about the art. It finally, that little series is where I was finally sold on Daredevil as a character, and so the art really didn't matter to me. I didn't really start to notice the goofiness, the goofy proportions in the John Romita Jr. stuff until there was a Spider-Man run that I was reading, and Peter Parker was basically built like a brick shit house, and I'm like that's terrible. And then I went back and I looked at his art in that Daredevil series, and I'm like, because I think the Daredevil series was Man Without Fear, and I looked at it and I'm like, no, his art in the Daredevil series looks pretty similar, but none of it bothered me. But for some reason, Peter Parker looking big and bulky just doesn't. I don't know. It's weird.
uh,
Um,
got me. I could live with the Iron Man. I mean, the art in the comic books was horrible. I mean, it was atrocious. But but the storylines were kind of shit. So I mean, I really wasn't paying too much attention to Iron Man at that point in time. What really got me was when they gave him his own title, and that was Punisher Warzone. And yeah,
I
seeing
remember that. I remember the cover to that first issue, and
everybody.
I'm seeing it in my head, and it's pretty ugly. In fact, just for reference, for this part, you may want to drop that image of that Punisher Warzone into the podcast so anybody watching can get a sense of what we're looking at. Because yeah, his Frank Castle is also built like a brick shit house, which is fine. The guy carries a lot of guns around, and that's okay. But the exaggeration on the faces is a little. I'm not looking for realism with my comic book art. I never have been. In fact, the super realistic stuff uh tends to kind of bore me. But his faces all tend to look very similar, and yeah, they don't really work for Frank Castle either.
This is a solid figure. I mean, this one
Oh,
figure is
oh, okay, yeah, the boots and the forearm, yeah, they're the same. Okay.
um
Um,
they're the interchangeable hands do not have a hinge, which is kind of shitty, I have to admit. Um, but I'm probably gonna leave those hands on there just because I for something different. There is another version of this figure. Um, I'm almost tempted to go look for it, but I'm not going to right now. So I don't know if it's a repaint. I'm since it's Hasbro, I'm going to assume that it is.
I like the look of the attachments for his hands.
Yeah,
Like I like the sculpt of them.
I do too. I would have liked to have seen hinged hands on the second set of hands, um, because are the fists? Yeah, the fists are hinged. So
Okay, yeah.
so the fact
Um,
that the repulsor effect hands do not have a hinge is kind of annoying. Um,
just out of curiosity, does the Tony Stark head fit on that neck ball? I'm just curious what it would look like unmasked.
Good question.
Because I mean, I
Eh,
think that head sculpt would work either way. It's a little, yeah, no, too big. Yeah,
it's
it's too big.
I think it sits too high.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Maybe if it was brought down a little bit, it wouldn't be so noticeable. But
I don't hate it though. I will. I don't hate it.
man, God, that head sculpt is that is fantastic.
It is.
Like seeing it on a different body really just sells me that head sculpt is fantastic.
Paint apps on the head sculpt are amazing too.
It is just that is such a nice head sculpt.
It is. It is one of the best. Like so they're kind of got him holding this helmet with that other.
That's cool though. Okay, yeah, I dig that.
And honestly, since I've got the other figure with the moon boots, I think I may just leave it like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, all right, yeah. So that's two out of those three Iron Man. They did a really good job with those.
Yeah.
I did see Count Nefaria in the store last week, and initially, when that wave was revealed, when it was first showed online, I was like, I don't know who Count Nefaria is, but I really like that figure because it's got this really dynamite head sculpt. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get it. I did not end up getting it because honestly, I don't need it because I would literally be buying that figure for the head sculpt. So I could probably use it on a custom. And honestly, I don't want to. Because I still don't know who Count Nefaria is. I'm fine not knowing who Count Nefaria is. That's a terrible, terrible name. Um,
Magia, crime family leader. I think he was Madame Mask's father.
okay. I don't know these things. I did not end up buying that figure. If I saw it again, I might, but um, and then I did see the Whiplash figure here. Backlash. Which one is he? Whiplash or Backlash? Not both. Um, it doesn't matter.
He had
Um,
back of the card, but they don't. That's kind of interesting.
well, I'll say this: the confusion was never there until what they did with Whiplash in the MCU, where they combined two characters into one and called it Whiplash. So I think there's permanent confusion on that ever since. But I did see that figure too, and while it's a good looking figure, it really sells just how fucking hokey that whole character design is. Um,
We'll get into the one that I was looking for because it's one of my favorite, personal favorite Iron Man armors is the Model 20. And pretty sure there's a version of this that exists already in this scale, and there is a really nice version of it in the 4-inch scale.
which armor is that from the comics? That's not the Extremis armor, right?
Not the Extremis armor. It was before that. I don't remember right off the top of my head.
No, I just wondered because um, uh, Iron Man's had a lot of armors over the years, and like the modular armor is my favorite from the early '90s. And then he's got a lot. He's had a lot of armors, and that's a nice one. I wasn't sure if you knew off the top of your head which era that was from. Um,
It's one of my, this particular armor is one of my favorite 4-inch figures. I used to take that particular figure on deployments with me. Yeah, they did a good job on this. This is nice. So we've got a repulsor hand hinged on the left, fist hinged on the right, uh, reverse hands, which are hinged. so that we can do both fists or both repulsors, and then four sets or one set of four boot jet slash repulsor um, effects, which I did not need more of.
Yeah, I suppose not.
I really did not. Well, I'll take the hands off the blister so I don't lose them. And yeah, I've got a Plano tackle box that I call the fuck it bucket that I put all of the loose parts that don't get displayed. And those are going to go in the fuck it bucket as soon as the show is over. But yeah, I'm really digging the like almost triple layered card. I mean, these things are fucking bulletproof, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'd have to work hard to mess that up. Um,
These are I'm seriously considering adding this step to my custom carded figures just to make the blisters stay on the cards. That has been plus having a so be a four-layer card technically. Um, that would solve my one of my other problems that I've had recently with the custom card backs is them warping.
well, it would help, especially if you made like a bulkier custom, like your metalhead custom. A layered card like that would ensure that you wouldn't have trouble keeping it as a packaged custom.
I love this figure. This is nice. They did a good job with this. Detachable faceplate. No, it looks detachable, but it's
Oh, all right. So it's just a separate piece
not.
for manufacturing.
Yeah, it looks like it's a separate piece that they've attached it. It's glued on, but the effect is nice.
That is a nice looking figure.
It's it's fantastic. They did a good job with this. I'm really happy with this. Customizing, if I was going to customize this, again, it would be metallic paints. Um,
What is with the panels on the back?
the spins.
Okay. Is that just for aesthetic flying around purposes?
As far as I recall,
Okay.
I don't really remember this particular era of Iron Man too well. This was
You just remember the design was awesome and it stuck with you.
yeah. I did
Gotcha.
I remember collecting this particular run of customs and just like sticking them in the collection because I was attempting to get a full run of Iron Man at the time, so I needed these to fill in holes.
That is a very nice looking figure.
Beautiful. I absolutely love this figure.
He looks like he could scrap with just about anybody in that armor and come out relatively unscathed.
This would be a perfect like I need a stock Iron Man figure for playing or dioramas or just like I want one decent Iron Man figure for my collection. This would be it if I had to make a recommendation. That's how much I like this figure. We've got the hinged torso in the middle and the swivel waist, which is kind of cool. Mid thigh swivels, double jointed knees, articulated ankles, double jointed elbows, and then ball jointed shoulders, which is are hidden really well by the Calderons. So I mean, the articulation on this thing is phenomenal.
Oh, look at that flying pose. Oh, nice.
It's a beautiful thing.
Nice. Nice. He's got that neck has a great range of movement on it. Nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, if this is a nice figure, I highly recommend this figure to anybody that needs a decent Iron Man figure. Wants like this is a this I would call this a quintessential Iron Man figure. This is as perfect as close to perfect as you're gonna get. The only thing that I would change up on this um, would be something that Hasbro and Takara do with the Transformer lines. Hasbro does paint apps like this, and then Takara will re-release or release the figure. I don't know who does their releases first, but Takara does the metallic paints. So if you have a particular Transformer that you're a fan of, depending on when that came out, there may be a Japanese release from Takara of that particular figure in metallic paints. Um, Up a couple of those. I don't recall who right off the top of my head because, but um, if you're a toy collector and a toy hunter, and you have a particular figure that you like for Transformers, go and see if there's a Takara version of it because they are a bit more pricier, usually about 20% more. Um, but the metallic paints are fantastic. That would be the only recommendation. Is I wish there was a Takara version of this that was more metallic than this. That, in my opinion, would make this paper.
But as it is, you're a fan.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal figure. I saw the preview pictures for this, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy this wave just for this figure. Um, because I'm not a real big fan of the Mark One armor. I've got enough of it got there was one that came out in the Iron Man line. There was one that came in the Iron Man 2 line. I've got a number of versions in the 4-inch scale. I have the original Toy Biz armors. Like I think it was Wave 11 that particular figure came out in. I have both of those. I have the gray and the gold chase variant. Um, so I have enough Mark One armors that I really did. Other one I would have liked to have seen. This would have been the perfect line to put that Hydro armor and that space armor that have never gotten figures in this
Maybe
scale.
they will at some point because
So
they're they seem intent on putting out different Iron Man figures from different parts of the line. So maybe the Hydro armor and the space armor, maybe they're on the list of things to do because did you see, I'm assuming you saw the pictures of the new comic based Hulkbuster they're putting out.
yeah, pretty
That
much
is a very nice looking figure.
cool.
Um it makes me wish that they'd put out a new Thor Buster. Um
Yeah. The other thing I would like to see from this line, I would like to see some of these figures. Um, because there were some very unique armors that came out in this Toy Biz line. I would like to see those updated in this format, without the snap-on pieces. Just have those.
as part of the sculpt, yeah.
Sculpt.
Um
I'm curious to see if they do another wave of uh the retro Iron Man line. I have not seen any rumors to that effect. And this may just be a one-off, but here's hoping.
I would be shocked if it was.
I would have said that a couple of years ago too, but then I see a lot of stuff where they just seem to do like a one-off line and never go back to it again in the last couple of years. So it may be an anniversary thing. I mean, it's the Wolverine's 50th anniversary, so there's a lot of those figures coming out this year in the Marvel Legends line. We've talked about some of those releases on other episodes as well. Um, and I'm waiting for that one with the Acts of Vengeance Psylocke to go on clearance because I want to
I
figure.
was gonna say because it will.
Yeah.
Um,
If you see it at Target, pick it up for me on clearance
um,
because I want that.
I
Because I absolutely I'm not the biggest X-Man fan, but this is the if you're not familiar with the Acts of Vengeance line in the or storyline in the comic book, it's where all of the villains got new hero fought different heroes than they're used to. So like Acts of Vengeance for Punisher, he fought the Reavers, um, which are historically X-Men villains. Um, and the X-Men, specifically Psylocke and Jubilee and Wolverine, obviously fought the Mandarin, which is historically an Iron Man villain. and the Mandarin was responsible for the way that Betsy Braddock looks now, is with the Oriental. He that was
Oh, did he do the body swap with Quanon? Oh, okay.
it.
Um,
I don't remember exactly. There was some stuff there, but yeah, he's the one that made her Oriental.
yeah,
Uh,
because Quanon was a separate character, and because Betsy Braddock, when she first debuted in X Men, her and her brother, yeah, they were just British. She had purple hair, and after a few years, yeah, she got body swapped with Quanon, and so it's led to her most iconic look. Um, so
Plus, the art was Jim Lee art as well. So,
yeah,
so the storyline was fantastic. The art was amazing, and the cover art was amazing. Those are the three things to me that make a perfect comic book. Is it's got to have a fantastic cover art to draw me in. It's got to have a good storyline for me to enjoy, and I've got to like the art. Those three things to me make a perfect comic book. And that specific 3-issue run of X-Men, um, all three of those are perfect comic books to me because it has Jim Lee cover art, it has an amazing storyline, and Jim Lee art, interior art, and Jim Lee's just one of my favorite comic book artists. But this figure, yeah, this is, and that's one of the reasons I want that Psylocke figure is because this mostly nostalgia value. It's not a particularly exciting figure, but the nostalgia,
no, the armor on it's cool.
yeah. But absolutely highly recommend this particular Iron Man figure. This is an amazing figure. This is
What's that one called on the package again?
20. These are still available through Big Bad Toy Store. I know I looked at them a couple of days ago just to see if they were still because I knew we were going to do these on the show and I just wanted to see if they were still available. I don't know if they're on Amazon. I would assume they're on Amazon. Um,
I would imagine.
I would assume
Um,
too.
yeah, it's weird because the Target here, they're inconsistent at best with stocking, but yeah, it is weird that I saw Backlash and I saw Count Nefaria, but I have seen no sign of those Iron Man figures.
I have I have all but given up hunting toys at retail. I haven't gone to a Target or a Walmart probably in close to a year to look for figures.
Well, the thing is, when I go to these stores, I'm not toy hunting. I'm usually going because there's stuff I need, but I always hit the toy department first just to see what's there. Um,
In that
like Mutt and Junkyard are clearance at Target right now. But the only other figure, the only other GI Joe figure they have for classified is Big Boa, and he's been sitting there for a while. And I have not been remotely tempted to pick him up because I don't care about Big Boa.
and yeah,
Um,
Emily does all of that kind of shopping. She usually goes to Target like about once a week, every other week or so, but she always does it on a day that I am at work. So and it's like I don't know if that's intentional, just so she doesn't have to. Because we go to when we do go together, she's like disappointment first. I'm like, yeah, disappointment first. So
so toy department first, find nothing, and walk away empty-handed.
no. So
Um,
I think she does that just to like save me the pain of not finding anything. Um,
so when she goes shopping by herself, does she go to the toy department to not find anything?
she will ask if I'm looking for something specific, if she wants me to look for something, but for like the last year or so, I haven't had her look for anything because I just get everything off of the internet anymore. The last figure I tried to hunt in the stores was the Range Viper, and none of the Walmarts carry GI Joe at all. They don't even have a spot for them here, including the Walmart up the hill where I work up in the mountains. I've really had a lot of luck hunting toys at that particular Walmart, but they don't even have and it's stocked. I mean, last time I was in there, they had a lot of toys. I ended up buying a bunch of Star Wars figures and donating them to the toy drive at Christmas time last year. but yeah, they don't even have a spot for GI Joe stuff there.
I'm not even sure if the Walmart here
Also,
does.
we can.
Usually I go down to the Walmart
It's
aisles and they've got everything just there's very little separation between most of their toy lines. Like the wrestling stuff is run so close to where the Masters of the Universe stuff is. Sometimes they're on each other's pegs. Um, and then they've got all the Marvel, the DC, the Transformers. It's all just
we
shoved together. There's it doesn't seem there's any organization in the toy department at this Walmart. They've got shit down on the shelves. They got shit just heaped up on top of the shelves, and like the Transformers is one huge bulk ending of the aisle, and then it just continues, and then it just squishes into what little Marvel stuff they have, which is squished into whatever the McFarlane DC stuff is, which is, and then Star Wars, they might as well not. They had a Harrison Dula and they had a Morgan Elsbeth, and they had nothing else for Star Wars at all. And they were both the Black Series. And then they got it all shoved, and then it all shoves into the wrestling stuff. It is obnoxious. So I don't so much know if that particular Walmart doesn't have a place for G.I. Joe anymore, or if it's because nothing seems to have a particular fucking place. They just slap the stuff on the pegs.
last time that I did toy hunting was last year, and that was when Julian was here.
Oh,
Um,
that's right. Yeah.
so we did hit a bunch of Targets and a bunch of Walmarts, and we as a result of our toy hunting found that we found better selections and more stuff at all of the Game Stops in town than we did any Walmart or Toys R Us.
There's
Not Toys R Us, Walmart or Target. So by the time we were done toy hunting, we'd stopped going to Target and Walmart, and we were just hitting the Game Stops in town.
there's two Game Stops here, and there's one that's really good, and I'll go in there when I'm near there just to see what they've got because they always have a different selection of toys. I never know which Spider-Man, Star Wars, GI Joe, whatever they're going to have. I swear they constantly rotate the product. I don't know if the stuff really sells or what, but anything that I want to order, if I'm over there, sometimes I'll look and sometimes they'll have it. I mean, they were the first place I saw Big Boa in Airport. Um, they were the first place that I've seen most of the Spider-Man stuff. Like if I see people are getting the on Facebook, if I see people are getting their pre-orders filled, if I wind up at that GameStop, a lot of times they have that stuff. Where the other GameStop, I think that location is running on fumes. They seem to not have much of anything anymore. I'm actually wondering. I mean, like I drove by the other day and they were closed. They had a sign on the door that says closed due to staffing issues. So and like it was a handwritten sign, and I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm actually wondering if they're looking to condense the two Game Stops into the one that's really decent because um yeah, after Christmas last year, yeah, the GameStop, that first GameStop, yeah, it's like they just stopped stocking. They don't they don't have much for action figures,
Here,
and
there is a GameStop. I mean, just out of curiosity, let me pull up my Google Maps real quick.
yeah, because when I was there,
10 of them in town here.
yeah, because when me and what's her name were in Denver and we met you and Emily there, and we went to Mile High Comics, um, we went into two different Game Stops while we were there, and I think I bought an X-Men figure at each one.
There's three, six, seven, eight, nine. There are 9 of them in Colorado Springs alone.
Jeez, yeah, because I think there's four of them, and I think there's three of them in Buffalo and one in Cheektowaga, and um, here. So, but yeah, I think we went to two different Game Stops. Just
There's
we just happened to drive by in Denver, and we stopped in both.
across the street from each other. I mean, that's
Um,
not kidding when I say that you can't swing a dead cat and not hit a GameStop in this town.
wow. Yeah. So yeah, if you're looking for toys, yeah, hit up GameStop. I always see pictures that people post on Facebook of I went into GameStop and I found this figure. And Jesus Christ.
Denver, yeah, there's probably 15
Wow.
or 15 or 20 in Denver.
Yeah, people post on Facebook all the time that they found these fig like they'll have 4 Star Wars figures. They're like, yeah, I hit up GameStop. They had all of them, or they had a whole wave or whatever.
And it's yeah, it's not just G.I. Joe or just Star Wars, but we've seen like the
Well,
Dungeons.
no, yeah, it's they keep the McFarlane multiverse DC stuff in. They keep they've got a um they've got if you're looking for if you're if you happen to be collecting like the Batman 66 McFarlane line, they've got a shitload of those. I saw Alfred and I saw Superman there um for that line. That line I enjoy looking at it, but I'm glad I'm not buying any of it because there's a metric ass load of that stuff that comes out. Um, the
One
McFarlane DC stuff, I'll buy occasional characters like the multiverse stuff to go with my toy collection. Like I've got a few different Superman figures, but I don't know how the completest. That's another line I don't know how they keep up with because, like the Marvel Legends collectors, how the fuck do people keep this stuff straight? There is so many releases of these things. I don't know how a completist could possibly keep up and buy it all. I don't. Every time I go into the stores, I find like I'll go into that GameStop and there's constantly different waves of McFarlane stuff, and the stuff I saw last time isn't even there anymore. I'm like, how do the completists keep up with this stuff?
character that I'm a completist on, obviously, is Iron Man, and even that I still have trouble keeping up on.
Um, I
Some
don't.
releases the and it's funny you should mention the McFarlane Batman line. The they're coming out with the 6-inch scale tumbler, and man, I would love to have that.
Oh yeah, it's packed with Lucius Fox.
Which
Um,
custom it's ironic because I did a custom of Lucius Fox in 4-inch at the same time they either that they announced or released that particular figure. So it that particular custom of mine got a lot of views because it managed to get into the algorithms of that release. So thank you, Facebook. Also fuck you, Facebook. Um
oh, um, yeah, the McFarlane that Lucius Fox. I looked at him like, hey, it looks like Morgan Freeman. If I liked the tumbler, I might have considered buying it. I'm not a fan of the tumbler,
Cooler is my favorite Batmobile of all time.
but if you happen to want one and you didn't want Lucius Fox, we could go that route. I'm just saying we could.
I don't
Um,
know what the price point is on that thing. I
I
haven't.
don't know either. But their vehicle price points do seem to be more reasonable than the Hasbro vehicle price points. Um, but yeah, I'm like I until I saw that figure, I never thought, hey, I need a action figure of Morgan Freeman. Now I do. It'll be disappointing that it does not talk in the Morgan Freeman voice, but nothing's perfect.
For. But yeah, I absolutely love that tumbler. It's the first toy. Uh, well, no, it's not. Okay, I'll take that back because Hot Toys did a tumbler. It's the first reasonably priced tumbler that seats two figures. Um,
Yeah.
they did a Hot Toys did a 1/6 scale version of that tumbler. I believe Dayton might have one of those. Who was a guest on our show a couple weeks back.
A 1/6 scale Batman tumbler. I can't even fucking imagine how much, how huge that is. Um,
Huge, and it's
that is insane. I cannot. holy shit.
or
That's holy shit.
as
Um,
Hot Toys stuff. Those are
um,
so expensive. I have a few Hot Toys Iron Man figures. Actually, one of them is from Dayton. um, I got one of, but they're always amazing figures. And yeah, um, they
I
did a
I
tumble.
tend to look at
I actually have so I customized a tumbler. I actually don't know where that custom is.
what, the Transformer.
I don't know where he is right now.
Um,
Huh.
yeah, I see pictures of the latest pre-order releases or the latest the solicitations for the latest pre-orders for the Hot Toys Star Wars line. And look, the likenesses are great to the actors. They are creepy as all get out. 2 weeks ago, I saw the pictures of the the Hot Toys Darth Sidious from episode 3 coming out. The close-ups on the face led me to send that picture to a few people that said I would not have this fucking thing in my house because I would be afraid that there was something inside of it that was watching me. The likeness to the creepy makeup Ian McDermott wore as, oh, nice.
Yeah, so this is the just the 4-inch version. You can
Now,
see.
if that's the 4-inch version and McFarlane is putting out the 6-7 inch scale version, now imagine the 12-inch scale version and how huge that is. But yeah, like that Darth Sidious, honestly, if that thing does not come to your house pre-possessed, I would be shocked. It is so well done that I think you would have to be worried that it was planning something, because some of the Star Wars releases also have eyes that move.
Oh, I've seen that.
Um, and like the Anakin, not only it's possible that it looks more like Hayden Christensen than Hayden Christensen does. Um, I would imagine that it would be like he would do a publicity piece holding it up, but actually opt not to take it home because he might be afraid of a toy of himself. Um, I don't like, I'm staggered by how realistic the Hot Toy stuff is. And it is exactly the reason why I would be afraid to collect it. Even if it was cheap and affordable, they are so well done. It's eerie. Um,
And it's. I mean, I remember seeing one of that they had done of Robert Downey Jr. a couple years ago, and I didn't notice it at first that it was an action figure.
it just looked like Robert Downey Jr.
It was
Um,
it did the work on the face, the sculpt, and the paint apps were so photorealistic that the second time I saw that picture, I realized that because I was like, I don't remember this promo picture before of him in the armor, and I'm like, oh. And then I noticed the Hot Toys logo in the corner. I'm like, oh, that is that is fucking amazing.
um, Olivia, my my friend that collects the Star Wars, another previous guest of ours, she doesn't buy a lot of the Hot Toy stuff because she can't afford it. But she did get the Hot Toys Bo-Katan Kryze.
Oh,
She got it last week, and she sent me like some pictures of it, like some close-ups, and it's like a little tiny Katie Sackhoff on her shelf. It is incredibly impressive and incredibly creepy. This thing looks so much like Katie Sackhoff that she's doing a podcast now, and I think if she wanted to sit that figure down as the podcast host and hide behind the scenes and narrate podcast interview, I think she could get away with it. There would just be this tiny Katie Sackhoff talking to the guest, but I think it would work. I it's uncanny how much this thing looks like the actress. It's very impressive and very strange.
this. this is what was a huge disappointment for me for the boss fight figures for the Umbrella Academy figures. I mean, you've seen some of the stuff, some of the customs that I put out, where I get heads from Craniac Studios, and I've talked to Isaac, who runs Craniac, and he's agreed to be on the show. We just need to set up a
We
time.
should do that. I want to talk to him.
But between like the stuff that Craniac puts out and Hot Toys, the likeness of the Umbrella Academy figures and the Mask of Zorro figures was horrible. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
that I
to
don't I
expect.
don't have the Mask of Zorro set because I didn't like the look of the. I don't think the likeness to Antonio Banderas or Catherine Zeta-Jones. I don't think they're where they need to be. Not for that price. I do think it could be saved with somebody like, but you'd have to have the paint skills that you have because you can capture real life looking stuff when you use those the the head sculpts with the actor's likeness. You've got the paint skill that you can pull it off. You can make it look like the real person.
Getting there.
Um,
I'm not there
but
yet. I
no,
want
but
to see.
your stuff is undeniable. Like you're like the Sons of Anarchy things. There's no question that that is who all of those people are because they are realistic looking. And I looked at the boss fight Mask of Zorro, and I'm just like, I don't. They're not where they should be. Not like for some. Like I remember the prototypes they showed off, and they were okay, but like the production versions, they're not even close.
Which is
They did a much better job on
the Sam
the
Jones. They did a really good job on the Sam Jones Flash Gordon figure.
yeah, and the Zorro the Gay Blade set, those were great, but they were wearing the masks,
Right.
so it was a little easier to pull off. They looked like the actor, but if like they had were unmasked, like because the Antonio Banderas, I think it's got both the mask and the and
It
I
does.
don't think either of them look a lot like him, and it's weird because they like their luchador series that they've got, they're much closer. Like you could tell, you could see the wrestlers in those faces. And I know it's a 6 inch line versus a 4 inch line, but they they've gotten closer, and it's kind of odd. Um, like you said, that Sam Jones, you can tell it's him in that Flash Gordon, and their Phantom figure looks really good. But
Would
yeah, that I feel like
Academy, I would have picked up each and every one of those figures. Actually, I have one of the.
if they made
This is an Umbrella Academy figure head here.
and it
Um,
doesn't look enough like like the performer that you could actually use it on a different figure and it didn't make a difference.
yeah, you wouldn't know that it was that
Yeah,
particular.
that's terrible um because usually like Marvel Legends, not all their face sculpts are perfect, but a lot of the MCU ones, I get a little annoyed seeing MCU heads slapped on GI Joe bodies and used as other characters because to me, I think the likenesses are good enough that there's no question that that's Chris Helmsworth or that's um, Chris Pratt on a GI Joe body. Um, but I feel like that figure you just showed me,
See a lot of those.
that 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 actor doesn't look enough like that character that you could just slap it on another body. And that's kind of weird. It shouldn't be like that. I figure it if you bought the Umbrella Academy figures and you put and Craniac did the head sculpts for them and you painted them, I think you could get them to where you wanted them to be.
I could, but I don't see them doing that without doing commissions, and I'm not going to do commissions.
Right. No, but I'm saying if they did those, I could see you finally being happy with those umbrella. But it would take you buying that set of figures from one company and buying a set of head sculpts from another company and painting them yourself before you could be happy with them.
The other thing is they haven't released all the figures yet. They've only done a couple of them.
Oh,
There's
okay.
only so there's seven of the siblings, and they've only released two, I think.
Weird.
Yeah. So weird things are going on at Boss Fight. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago too, where they had made a
There's some kind of behind the scenes drama, and well, I don't know any of the details, but
they'd made some cryptic posts on Facebook about a couple of the original founders leaving the company for greener pastures, and some of the comments were
most
interesting.
of them were taken down.
Yeah.
So whatever the deleted comments meant, I don't know, but there's nothing.
As JD said, it sounded very. It was there was some drama involved. I don't know what's going on there. Uh, they did, as a side note to that, Boss Fight put up a pre-order for the next wave of fantasy line figures. There's a couple of like elves that are different scale, so
Yeah,
it's a smaller buck, smaller scale buck that will be available. None of the
yeah. It looks like one of the characters is a gnome, so he's like a. I think they're like hobbit-sized people. So that is cool that they're putting out different buck sizes. They're very RPG inspired. Like you could like if you were playing D&D and you wanted to make figures based on the party members of the characters of the people that you play with, you could get the size variety between the races that you needed. There's some very good looking figures.
It's that honestly, if I was going to do my own toy line, I like the blank figures, but I would do like clothed. I don't like the skin tight ones because then I don't do a lot of superhero customs, and superheroes, are usually the only ones that are wearing like skin tight stuff. So I do more stuff from movies or TV
They
shows.
did some blanks that were wearing the different period pieces, right?
Uh like generic figures, yeah, but not. I'm talking just a straight blank figure, no accessories, no nothing, no, just like
Oh, I see. Like you mean like figures wearing
the
like
t-shirt.
trousers and shirts, but unpainted in solid colors that you could paint however you wanted
I
and
would
add whatever sculpts you want.
I would like to
Oh,
see. I would do a line of blank figures in varying body styles. So, there'd be an Arnold Schwarzenegger style one where it'd be tall and muscular. There'd be one like the actor that played Bobby Munson from Sons of Anarchy, so it would be shorter and heavier built and slightly obese, to varying varying sizes of female figures. There'd be tall and thin and short and thin and
yeah, you could have like a Nicole Kidman style um and like a what's her name? Anna Kendrick style. Um and then yeah, you could have like a short guy like Tom Cruise, and then you could have like Shaquille O'Neal. Which if you see a picture of them together, they don't even look like the same species of person.
Tom Cruise is
I
fine.
don't. I saw I saw a picture of uh Eunice Suotomo, who plays Chewbacca in the Star Wars movies, next to the rest of his castmates, and even the tall ones. The guy is 6'11", and the pictures of him next to even the tall members of the cast, like Adam Driver, he looks like he looks like he's from a different race of human than the rest of the cast does. It's I don't I can't imagine being anywhere near that tall. Um,
Can't either. I I'm fairly tall.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and because there's a because the pictures of you and I together, there's a there's a there's a huge size discrepancy. It's less obvious when we're sitting down. But there's one picture I've got
You can see
that was taken back in 2015
why I'm
when Sean Grogan and Chad visited me, and there's a picture of me standing between the two of them, and I made a joke that it's the Ents and a Hobbit, um, um, because they're both. I swear to God, they're less than a foot taller than me, but they might as well be. But they might as well be a foot taller. But uh, yeah, it's kind of like that with Brian and I. You ever seen pictures of Penn and Teller? Same thing. Um, um,
Julie. There's
but
a picture of Julian and I when I was in France the first time together, and yeah, he comes up to like mid chest. It's pretty funny.
yeah. There was a picture when Julian visited here back in 2016 or 2017. There's a picture of he and I together, and we're about the same height, but we are built differently. It was like a thin guy and like a roly poly guy. Um, it was it was it was a little bit Jay and Silent Bob. Um, um, but yeah, 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 they should make blank figures that have different statures and different builds in general.
I would I would be all about that for customizing. I think it's Joe Fest right now. I saw. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. Hang on a second. I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna go get the other stuff that I wanted to review for the show. So I almost forgot about it, but it's kind of funny because Alice must have known what I was going to do because she did not even bother moving. He's still back there watching. Um, I got I pre-ordered a bunch of the Eagle Force figures because I did not expect them to drop all at once, and they did. So that was a huge chunk of change. But
I was gonna say, how's the bank account? Um,
luck- luckily, not too bad because I've been working a lot. So I've been working so much I didn't even notice. So
ooh,
they are phenomenal. The
nice.
My only complaint is the joints are a little loose on the figures, but that's it. I love these Monster Force figures and
The
the
stealthy red shadows figure. That's cool.
yeah, the Red Shadows um analog figures are amazing.
That's really great for the people like with the Robo Skull. Now they'll have their red shadows to go with them. Did it vampire head?
Uh I think this one's a zombie head.
Okay.
And there's a werewolf head that comes with it. So you
So
can
he's
do
got this Baron Iron Blood helmet.
so you can do um zombies or vampires or well not vampires. I don't think the most of the vampire stuff, unfortunately, there are a lot more figures for the Monster Hunter or Monster Force line in the 6-inch scale, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah, they've got a bunch of vampires coming out in that.
they've got a shit ton of stuff coming out. They already had a bunch of stuff up for pre-order, but um they during it was kind of interesting during the announcement at Joe Fest, the pre-orders went live on Big Bad Toy Store. I think that is impeccable timing. I don't think they planned it that way, but that's exactly what happened. Um, but these Monster Force figures are my jam. I love the old Universal monsters kind of stuff. So this is the the update for the Invisible Man. It's got translucent parts built into it. There's a
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
translucent head, so he's got translucent forearms. He's got translucent hands, extra hands, and a interchangeable translucent head.
I was gonna ask if there was another head. Um, yeah. Did you see the pictures from Joe Fest that Seth Green is there?
Uh,
Because I know that he and his partner in one of the production studios. I know they've got one of the smaller toy companies. They're going to make toys for them, but they were um, LaCroix Toys is doing the paint masters for them, and so they're doing publicity for that line. But I've seen pictures of him with numerous Joe fans, and he's got the Arashikage tattoo on his forearm too. And I'm like, oh, I know he was a geek. I didn't realize he was that much of a GI Joe geek.
huge.
Oh fuck yeah, yeah. You see that? Yeah, with the different head and that Baron Ironblood helmet. That's a perfect update of that original figure. Um,
Kilowog. Uh,
oh man, yeah, I really like that werewolf head sculpt.
yeah, the werewolf head sculpt's phenomenal. They've got werewolf hands with clawed fingers. They really did a the the line is fantastic. They really did a good job with this.
Now, how many waves did you get at the same time? I don't.
I got different figures from different waves, so I don't know.
But I mean, it was like a few waves worth of the ones that you were getting. Like you didn't buy all of them. You're just certain ones, right?
But like everything that was pre-ordered dropped at once for everything that they had been doing. If it had a pre-order, it dropped.
My God. So imagine the completists for Eagle Force. Man, they were feeling it.
Yeah.
Um,
I got 3, 6, 7. I think I got 8 figures from that line. And mine was one of
they released like 30 of them, I'm guessing.
mine was one of the smaller orders. So that's the
Oh, that is
Jack
who,
Burton.
Jack Burton? Yeah. Okay.
I am going to do a more somebody else has a better sculpted head. And I'm going to do a water slide decal for the original t-shirt. So I'm using this one's going to go for a custom.
Yeah, I was gonna say because those kind of figures, they're meant to evoke the imagery of the, but they're not actually based on the actor or that part, right? Like they're supposed to be instantly recognizable as if you wanted to use this character as that character, you could, but it's not actually to what the fuck? What
So
is that?
this is the leader for the Monster Force. This is the main villain for the Monster Force line.
Okay, so he's got like a scarab beetle head.
That is the Forgotten Pharaoh or the Forgotten King, I think is what.
Okay. All right, that's cool. Um,
And the 6-inch scale figures are even better than these. I just
um,
not picking up. I am picking up. There is one particular figure from the Monster Force figures that is not. I have not seen them say that they're going to do in 4-inch scale, and I am picking it up in the 6-inch scale just because it looks phenomenal. All of them look phenomenal. I just can't afford them all. So this is the Kickstarter figure. This is one of my Kickstarter awards from the original Eagle Force Kickstarter with the head sculpt with one of the extra werewolf head sculpts on it.
that's cool looking.
One of the riot troopers with the so this is my lazy custom, and the paint match is phenomenal on this.
Yeah, that's cool. That is seriously cool looking.
So it's it's kind of ironic. I haven't put these up on display yet because like I said, I'm working on my shelving and I'm going to redo where everything sits on the shelving once I get all the shelving up. So I haven't put these up yet. And I had to recard I did a custom Frankenstein's cyborg, and I probably did that like 15 years ago. And I've had to recard that because I did a single sided card and it warped and the blister came off.
Is that one of the reasons you've considered using the enclosed bubble?
Yeah, it's because I've had a anything where I've done a single sided card recently, even some of the double sided cards, there's I don't think you can see it from here. I did a Sergeant Slaughter custom, and that card warped as well. I just haven't taken the time to reprint it. Um, but even that some of my double sided cards have warped. I think it's due to some of the backing. I was using really cheap backing boards, um, so I've been really careful about where I'm buying my backing boards from because I went to the local comic book store last time I needed backing boards, and the boards on the shelf were warped. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm glad I'm not using these to try and keep my comic books in decent shape.
Yeah, no kidding. That kind of defeats the purpose of the backing board.
100% it defeats the purpose of the backing board, and it defeats the purpose of me using it as a uh the middle piece for my what I glue my cards to.
Yeah.
I can, and I live in Colorado, so the humidity is very low here. I would hate to live in some place that was way more humid and had,
Yeah, it's hot here today, but the humidity is worse. Like there's heat advisories because of the humidity.
see, I would hate to have that humidity swing. I think that has been part of the problem. My where I keep my stuff, my collection and my customs, it's fairly well climate controlled since it's in a basement. Um, but yeah, I think that has been an issue. But the double sided cards I think do make a difference. Um, but I didn't have that Frankenstein cyborg on that double sided card. But and I didn't recard it. I reprinted the card, but I haven't recarded it yet because I want to get a picture of it with these figures because it fits in perfectly.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
It it's this is something that I had ideas for of my own before they did this, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of their figures, and I'm really hoping some of the stuff that they've shown and that's in the 1/12 scale line, the 6-inch scale line, makes it into the 4-inch because if it does, I will buy it.
Well, I'm glad to see that Fresh Monkey Fiction that's making these Eagle Force figures. I'm glad to see that, because they kickstarted the Eagle Force because they were trying to get the company off the ground. I'm glad that led to that they're finding they have the success. They had enough success with the 4-inch line that they could introduce a 6-inch line and keep both lines going and keep expanding on it. I am very glad for that company that they have found the success they've had because
Had a rough
it,
go.
they did. The Kickstarter stuff, it took a long time to come out because I kept having problems. But I'm glad that the people that were into it stayed with it and they've bought the stuff since so that they could keep expanding. And it is I'm because Bill that runs the company, he was a guest on the show years ago. He I'm glad that they found the success that he was hoping for when they started it.
Get him back on the show.
Yeah, 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 we should. But yeah, because I saw that they've got um I think Gridiron is working with them and making the weapons for the Monster Force, the 6-inch line that they're doing. Um, so
Yeah, we
people getting frustrated with their wait times at Gridiron, well, there's a reason for that. They do really good stuff and they're really busy.
we Gridiron guys on the show too.
Um, yeah, because they've done a few podcasts, and the guy who runs the company, guy, like they're always listening for feedback from the customers, and yeah, I've seen him on a few shows. So yeah, let's see if we can get him on this show. Yeah, like the Craniac guy. Yeah, I'd like to talk to him. Um, um, we've got there's plenty to talk about in the toy world. So,
Absolutely. So this just kind of, I've said it before on previous shows that I think that crowdfunding is the future of of new toy lines, um, because it's a viable way to get your line off the ground. We've seen Marauder Task Force use it successfully. We've seen Boss Fight use it successfully. Eagle Force, obviously, talk about a Cinderella song. I mean, those guys went through no end of trouble getting the Kickstarter off the ground and had put up with no end of shit from the people that um backed it and wanted their stuff like right now. And it's like, that's not how this works. We need to fund the project to get it off the ground, to get these figures to you, to get, the molds made. And I mean, we're doing this from scratch. And I think it's a, if you are not rich, this is the only way to get your get your toy line off the ground. I mean, people keep asking me, I get asked not infrequently why I don't make, why is there not, why do I not do a Sons of Anarchy toy line? And it's like, you have no idea how long it takes to do one of these customs, and then and to mass produce that, I can't do that. I would have to.
and also there's licensing and shit like that. There's hoops you would have to jump through that you don't have to worry about when you're custom making something.
Yeah,
Um,
that's, but I could do stuff that's just a little off and call it something else. And
but why? That would suck all your enjoyment of the hobby out of it.
exactly, and that's the other reason I don't do it. But I can't mass produce my stuff, is the thing. And I would, if I was going to do that, I would have to do what everybody else did, and I'd have to crowdfund it. And I'm not going to do that.
Um, the I just I'm glad to see the number of projects from the from the crowdfunding that's happening. Like I love watching the process of the Operation Recall stuff that Carson Metaxas did. Like I backed some of those figures, but watching the whole process as he's gone from sharing the final art by the creators of these things all the way through showing us the prototypes of the sculpts. And I think at Joe Fest he's got some of the paint masters on display. I haven't seen the pictures yet, but
I know
like
that.
seeing the whole process coming together, he said that there's been some people that were impatient and they wanted their stuff now. But like he said, they went from initially just offering a few figures with some ideas for future ones that, but it was so successful that they were managed to get all the other chosen designs out. So they're doing everything all at once. So it's taking a lot longer, but it's all being done. So there's no quality issues when they come out. Um,
Kingdom of the Animal Warriors is another line that comes to mind, that was kickstarted, and has had really decent success. And
yeah, they've got they just kickstart before. Yeah, last month I think they kickstarted another expansion on that line, and it was huge. Like it was the backing unlocked most of what, and they've got some really ambitious stuff in the works. Um, so people just need to learn to be patient. God damn it, be patient with this stuff. Um,
I don't. We've talked about crowdfunding before, and just like, people think that they're pre-ordering stuff, and that's not what's happening here.
no, what
Becoming
you're funding is helping to get this thing started or helping to create whole new dimensions for these things. Like, yeah, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, the first few waves are out and successful, but in order for them to expand outward and create a bigger variety of molds and different things that they can't already do with the available stuff, crowdfunding helps make sure all of this stuff is paid for in advance. And then they have so many more resources that they can use for expanding on this stuff because I think people underestimate or aren't aware of just how much it costs to put these things together.
How long it takes.
Yeah, how long it takes, how much it costs, how much goes into these things. Um, that's why repaints happen because lines can't survive on repaints alone, but they do help prop up the line while newer stuff comes out.
100% agree. I'm not the biggest fan of repaints by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but
They
yeah,
have to exist. Things have to get repainted to keep the line rolling along.
you can't do that without. And I've proven that as a customizer, with like my Sons of Anarchy line. Most of those are one or two different bucks. Some of them are Joy Toys, some of them are Marauders, some of them are a combination of both. Um, like the Bobby Munson figure and the Piney Winston figure, those are a combination of Marauder, Task Force figures, and the Jurassic World figure. So I mean, it's the same buck. It's just it's a custom buck that I've made, kit bashing figures together, but it's the same figure. There's no difference between the Bobby Munson and the Piney Winston figure. It's the same buck. It's just got a different head and it's just painted different.
And it's amazing what a new paint job can do to freshen up a um, mold.
Um, I think that's about all I got for this particular episode. I don't think I've seen any other. Uh, we did. I think of the last podcast we had talked about that we had suspected that the uh Star Wars HasLab was going to be the Cantina. No, I think we did talk about that on our last.
Yeah, because they the crowd fund went live. The HasLab went live for it after, and it all looked really good. There is at any price point, I would never buy any of it. But is it impressive? Yes. Are there other things I think they could have done? Yes. Um, is it exciting? No. But is it cool looking? Yes. Um, the fact that it comes with so many of the accessories are shot glasses and drink glasses, that would, if I had any enthusiasm for it, that would have put a damper on it. Those are the kind of accessories that, if you're building a diorama, is it necessary? Yes. Would I want to deal with them? No, I would not.
Said
Um,
lost like a fart in the wind.
yeah, I don't like. You see the picture of all these little glasses for these figures to hold, and I mean, I guess if you like that kind of stuff, cool. But I don't. That's a lot of shot glasses.
A lot of
And
little.
there is no stage for Figure and Dan and the modal nodes to stand up on and perform. Um, but there's all kinds of different tables and benches and stools to sit on. Does it look good? Yes. Is there any excitement? No. Um, I don't. I think a ship like the Ghost is a more exciting release in general, but the people in our age range that always wanted a huge cantina that was accurate to the movie to come out with detail, well, you're getting that.
Those
Um,
they were all
doesn't make for much of a toy line, but people spending their money on it, well, that's what they want. So I get it. Um,
at
but
this current time. There are 15 days, 8 hours, and 58 minutes left in the funding. There are currently 5,664 backers, and their target is 8,000 backers.
yeah, they'll get there.
That usually we've talked about this. on other shows as well. There seems to be like a bell curve to the funding where it skyrockets at the beginning, kind of levels off at the top.
And then towards the end, it rallies and people add. So, um,
I see we uh we talked about the dragonfly on the last show too, didn't we?
yeah, yeah. I watched the unboxing video. I skipped through half of it because the helicopter. I had no interest in the helicopter, and seeing them pull the pieces out. But is it cool looking? Yes. Would I ever want it? No. But I skipped to where they unbox the figures, and you know what? Those figures look really good. After it's released, I will probably see if I can get a Glenda and a Ripcord figure.
I like the Glenda figure. I like the Ripcord figure. I don't need a Night Force Ripcord figure, so I am going to wait until they do the vintage color scheme release, which Hasbro will. I mean, they haven't announced it, but they will.
They will. They will. The people bitching about like the Iron Grenadier not looking more like the vintage Iron Grenadier, looking more like a later version of the Iron Grenadier. That's what the retro release is for. They'll do a version that looks more like the vintage, like the 1988 figure, and they'll put it on a retro card.
And I
But
saw people commenting on that because the Iron Grenadier does look like it's out of one of the convention sets, and people were bitching about how it's not the original one. I'm like, there will be a retro. I guarantee you, there will be a retro release of the Iron
there
Grenadier.
will be a retro one that will look closer to the 1988 figure. They decided out the gate they're going to do a different version. So it's possible they decided this because at the time some of the earlier army builders came out, they weren't as set on doing the retro stuff as they are now. The retro stuff initially was a Walmart exclusive, and they were going to be repaints, but now they've actually made it a conscious decision to we're going to put out retro versions of a lot of army builders. So I think it gives them more leeway to do different stuff with. I think if the eel had come out earlier or later, we may have gotten a less traditional eel in the first place, and they may have waited for the retro version to put out the more classic figure.
Yeah,
But because
the Snow Serpent, they went
right, the snow serpent, they went with darker colors
one.
with the intent that maybe they were going to do a retro version. And I think maybe they may have gone with something a little different for the eel, but I think that might be one of the last retro ones that we see that's going to look so close to a similar one. I think after this they're gonna make some different looking stuff, and they're gonna make sure that the retro like there's no way the Iron Grenadier is not going to get a retro carded release. So why not go in a different direction with
100%.
the because all they'll need to do is change out the torso on for a retro Iron Grenadier and put different paint masks on it, and it's gonna work. Um, uh,
I
San
support.
Diego. Now we did see box pictures of Nemesis Immortal.
Oh yes, thank you.
Fuck, that figure looks good. That is everything that I was hoping that the 6-inch scale Nemesis Enforcer was gonna do, and it is beefy. It is huge. He is fucking scary looking. It is exactly what I wanted to see with it. And at San Diego Comic Con, they already said they're going to put out the loose pictures, and we're going to see the. And I have a feeling some of the stuff they're working on is not announced because they're holding stuff back for San Diego Comic Con. But I'm really hoping that we see an Iron Grenadier's Destro for the classified line. Um, but considering how well done they did Metalhead, and considering how cool I think the Iron Grenadier is, yeah, I really think Destro will kick some ass. Um,
I like that style of Iron Grenadier. I have not gone to any of the Joe conventions, unfortunately, but I have most of those. There's only one or two of the Iron Grenadiers from that set that I don't have. I like that style. I
yeah,
understand it's
I
loose.
don't have those Iron Grenadiers, but I remember seeing the pictures of them at the conventions with the ties, and they're more formal, and I think they look really fucking cool. And I don't there's something appealing about that, and I'm really glad when I saw the pictures of the classified. I'm like, I didn't expect them to go in that direction, but I'm really glad that they did. And as soon as I saw that, that's what I thought of was the collectors club versions that they did with the more dramatic trench coats and shit. That's what I thought of. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's fucking cool that they went that way with classified in the first place.
And I like I said, I support that decision because it gives the possibility for variety in the line that wasn't there before.
Yes, agreed. And I don't I don't want all the classified stuff to just be updates of old stuff. I want some really different stuff. I want some updates to different era stuff, and
And that's
having
what they're doing.
yeah, and having modern versions of the Iron Grenadiers that were convention exclusives come out. I think it's a different take, and I like it. I'm glad that they went that way. What are you looking for?
So one of the Cobra commanders came with a staff that had a cobra wrapped around a staff. And I want it for this figure. I
Ah,
know I have one somewhere.
gotcha.
Where is it? I don't know. I might have used it on a custom because I might have used because I did a so what year was the Toys R Us 6 packs with the throne room? It had the Rock Viper repaint or the Range Viper
Uh,
2006.
yeah, I think it was 2006.
I did a couple of customs based off of that set, and I think I might have used that staff for that Cobra Commander.
Yeah, I think you might have.
I can't find.
I don't know. Your custom is on the wall. Go look.
Fuck you! Don't be so like smart.
I have moments.
I don't think that it is. It's not on the wall. Shut up.
Why?
I don't know because I don't know why it's not on the wall, but here it is right here.
Ah, yes.
Which I'm still happy with how that turned out. I think that looks awesome.
You should be. That's awesome. Oh yeah, so that's the staff you were talking about. Okay.
I know that staff is not in there.
Ah, well, you'll find it when you're not looking for it.
Probably. So I don't know why that's not on the wall. That's weird. Somebody was asking me because I just posted on Facebook a couple of days ago. This is the 10th anniversary since I've started making my own custom cards. And somebody asked me how many custom carded customs I have made.
Good God, that's a lot.
My best guess is just over 350, give or take 10, 15. So
Yeah,
that
I'd say. Yeah, I would guess that that's a pretty good guesstimation.
I did count all of the ones, all of my GI Joes, and there's like just under 200, like 170 some, just GI Joe figures. I've got about 50 Star Wars figures, about 25 Iron Man figures, and then about 50 customs that are from movies and TVs, which are on this wall that you can't see. Um, not to
And
mention
I
like
was gonna say plus those box sets.
yeah, box sets. I didn't count the box sets because the figures aren't carded on those. Although
And I was gonna say, didn't they include cards?
I did do cards for the
Yeah,
press
so
set.
I
So
think they count.
yeah, I just didn't card them. But yes, they did come with the Predator set does come with proof cards. Um, which I didn't finish the last couple of those, so I should sit down and do that. But um, roughly about 350 is the answer to that.
That's
JD has a couple of my carded customs, and
yep.
I've a couple carded customs for commissions too. So there you go. 10th anniversary. Still kind of troubleshooting some of the stuff. It's still a learning process, but I'm really happy with how those have turned out over the years because there are still some of the first cards that I've done. They are still on the wall here next to me. So I think that's about all I've got for this particular episode. I keep saying that, and then we keep finding stuff to talk about. So
Stream of consciousness.
that's the show. Uh,
Always has been, always will be.
Pretty much. Let me try and think if I saw any other announcements that I wanted to mention on the show. Let me look at Big Bad Toy Stores real quick because that's always like their front page usually reminds me of stuff. Um, God, that Eagle Force stuff looks amazing. I wish they were mirroring the 1/12 scale stuff in 1/18 scale because I would be buying all of that stuff. Um, the pre-order for the 4-inch O-ring Ghostbusters figures went up. Hasbro sold out of those. I believe they're still available through Big Bad Toy Store at $44 for a set of 4 figures. I jumped on that. I
Yeah.
pre-ordered 2 sets, one for myself and one for my wife. My wife's like, I don't want one. And then she looked at she's like, how much are they? I'm like, $44. And she's like, why don't you pre-order me a set of those too? I'm like, I already did.
I can yeah, I can imagine that conversation exactly like that in my head. So
Exactly what happened. She's like, I'm like, the pre-orders are up for the Ghostbuster figures. They're going fast. She's like, I don't want a set. I'm like, you don't want Ghostbuster figures on your desk at work. She's like, well, maybe. Let me look at them. She's like, oh, those look pretty nice. She's like, how much are they? They're too expensive. I'm like, they're $44. She's like, that's about $10 a figure. I'm like, yeah. Okay, I'll take a set. I already pre-ordered it a couple days ago. She's like, okay, fine. So I believe the release date on those last time I saw was February. Um, again, Hasbro's Pulse sold out. This is one of my biggest pet peeves is the manufacturer selling out on pre-orders. That is something that should never happen. Your pre-orders should be a gauge of how much product to make and should never sell out on a pre-order. If people are going to buy it, you should be able
they
to.
should have the opportunity to give you money. Yeah.
We saw I I have no end of just fucking pet. That is probably I've got a couple pet peeves for toys. One is the peg hole size on feet for figures because that has given me no end of trouble as I try and display every loose figure I own and need figure stands for them.
Yeah.
There is no consistency even in specific lines, and it drives me fucking absolutely insane. My other pet peeve is manufacturers selling out on pre-orders. Retailers selling out on pre-orders, I get that. You're only
They're only going to order so many.
right. You can only order so many. I can see Big Bad Toy Store selling out on pre-orders. That makes sense to me.
But
Has
Hasbro Pulse
should not.
run by Hasbro should should have a bigger allotment in mind.
So for figures like Dr. Mindbender, Serpentor, Chuckles, those pre-orders should have never have fucking sold out. If you want a Serpentor figure and you couldn't get your pre-order in the 2 minutes that it was available, fuck you. Don't worry about it. We'll have them for you because
Well, and they put it out a few times.
yeah, and
I
it's
mean,
so
like the pre-orders went live a few different times, and it sold out every time.
that should be a fucking red flag. Like,
Yeah,
wait,
and now you can't get them,
a
and
lot of
they're expensive.
yeah, a lot of people want this. To me, it seems like they're propagating like the third party resales, and it's like they're not making any money off of that. Why?
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think Serpentor on the secondary market. I think he costs a lot of money now. I'm glad that I had one that somebody sent me their second one they pre-ordered because I couldn't get one. Um, and now people who want them, they can't get them, and they're expensive.
yeah. And when I saw the Nemesis Enforcer box the other day on the podcast, I'm like, oh, now I kind of want a Serpentor to go with it, but I can't get one. Fuck it. That is something that Hasbro should not be doing. Not any manufacturing retailer should be doing is selling out on pre-orders. That should be a gauge of how much product to make. That is
Well, I think the solution now for Serpentor is repainting him in one of his other color schemes and put him back out. So the people who want him to go with their Cobra Law figures, of which we've only got Nemesis Immortal announced right now, but I have a feeling they're probably going to make Elise Globulus and Pythona, and they'll make the Royal Guards. They're going to, at some point, they're going to have to repaint Serpentor, do the black and yellow version from the Real American Hero release, or do the comic colors where he's more green and yellow than gold and yellow. But fucking they're gonna have to repaint Serpentor at some point because the people who buy the classified Cobra Law stuff, if they don't have Serpentor, they're gonna want Serpentor to go with it, and they're gonna need Doctor Mindbender to go with it. So maybe I'll get my wish that they'll do a Dr. Mindbender in the lab coat so I don't have to worry about the wrestling sideshow version. Um, but yeah, if they're gonna make the Cobra Law stuff, yeah, they're gonna have to put Serpentor back out there.
was my thought as well. And it's funny you should mention that because I'm like, boy, yeah, they're gonna need to do a repaint of the Serpentor, and 100% agree with you. I think the black and the yellow one should be the one they do. And I honestly, I would kind of prefer that one because I do like that figure. Um, that figure is the bane had been the bane of my existence, because it was so rare, and it was in a 2-pack, and it came with a figure that nobody else wanted but me
Yeah,
to.
Shock Viper. Yeah.
And that figure
Um.
was so fucking hard to get. I do have one in my collection, but it was so fucking hard to get because of that.
Well, and the people who want the black and yellow Serpentor now that can't get it, that can't get the 3 3/4 inch version. Well, if they did a 6 inch classified version, people might scratch that itch by buying a classified version of it.
I would. I will never own that
I
Serpent.
would too. I don't have that Serpentor anymore. I used to. I don't have it anymore.
I don't.
Um,
I don't have it. I think what happened on mine was somebody had the set, and somebody was like, I want the Serpentor, but I don't want the other figure. And the gal's like, well, I'm not gonna open it, I'm not gonna separate it. And I PM'd both of them. I'm like, I want that other figure. I've been hunting that shock viper for years. I will if you open it and sell the Serpentor to this person, I will buy the other figure. And we all came to an agreement, and that guy got his Serpentor, I got my shock viper, and that lady got the there's the thumbs up thing still working. That that person got the money that she wanted for that set. So
Look at that. Everybody being a mature adult. What a weird concept.
it worked out perfectly for everybody.
Everybody won. Everybody got what they wanted, and everybody was everybody was a reasonable person about it.
Yeah. So I PM both of them like, I want that. I see that you want the Serpentor. I want the Royal. I want the Shock Viper. I don't want it carded either. If you let's split the set and agree that I don't I don't need the file card. I just need the accessories. Let's go in together on this. And the gal's like, yeah, I'll do that. That work. If as long as I get the money for that I'm asking for the set, I don't care who has it or who if they open it or
That's cool.
so yeah, it worked out for everybody. And yeah, everybody was happy. So I love stories like that.
And I
Happy
think a lot of people would be happy if they repainted classified Serpentor in that color scheme.
to pick
I
one up.
think a lot of people would just drool over it. Because then they could do a release of Serpentor without the air chariot,
I was gonna say if
and people would.
with the air chariot and repainted it in that color scheme, I
Oh
think we
yeah, if they did that, then that would be awesome. But if they decided to put out the Serpentor without it, that would be.
got an idea. I got an idea. Comic book color Serpentor on a retro card.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome because they did the comic pack version of Serpentor, and yeah, put them in that green and yellow color scheme. And no, I think on a retro card, yeah, I think that'd go real well.
It's for me, I don't care what color it is because I'm a customizer. I can make it any fucking color I want.
And I'm glad that I have that Serpentor because I think it's perfect just the way it is. But if they put it out in another color scheme, I wouldn't say no.
Because that's one of the things we hadn't talked about. See, we keep finding things that we were going to talk about on the show. We just haven't podcast in a long time. Uh, the figure that I want and JD wants and comes with absolute garbage for accessories is Alpine. They showed Alpine a couple of weeks ago, and it comes with just hideous, hideous. It comes with Alley Viper accessories.
Yeah, it's got a pickaxes, I think, from a Range Viper, and it's got the shitty grappling gun from the Alley Viper and the shitty rifle from the Alley Viper, and I think it has.
Both rifles are from the no, one's from the Range Viper, I think.
Yeah, and they're yeah, because he's got the climbing picks, and he's got the grappling launcher that attaches to the Alley Viper backpack. And so seeing it as an accessory just on its own, but with the little grappling part colored, like I think it's like bronze, is fucking weird looking. And that is not a suitable he does not have a suitable climbing kit. But that's okay because it made Gridiron go out and re-offer the original loadout they did for Alpine Customs a few years ago. They immediately put it back on the website, and I ordered a set, and it's in the mail now. So by the time I get the Alpine figure in a few months, um, I'll have the Gridiron loadout to go with it.
Thing. I just haven't sat down to order the loadout from Gridiron yet, but I intend to do the same thing. I
but
am traditionally I don't blend custom parts into my collection figures. I try to keep my collection. It's like an OCD thing, right? So I don't usually customize my figures that I have in my collection. Those, if I do something custom to it, it gets customized, and I do
and I tweak my stuff all the time, and
a
I'll substitute weapons out that I don't like. But
started doing that. I started doing a JD, and JD facilitated my last one because Big Ben did not come with a big ass backpack like he should have. And JD's like, I gotcha. And he sent me a backpack, and I instantly repainted it and put it on my big bed. And I'm like, okay, now I'm happy.
Now, see, for me, I was okay without Big Ben having it, but I understood why you thought he needed it. Whereas for me, if you're going to include these shitty accessories with Alpine, at least give him a fucking backpack. But he doesn't have a backpack, so he's got crap accessories and no backpack. And see, for me, as unbothered as I was about Big Ben's backpack, I am fucking irritated that Alpine does not have a backpack. And so I bought a couple of character loadouts from Gridiron, but some of them I don't keep them as loadouts for that character. Sometimes I like parts that come with it, and I might give them to other figures. But in this case, the Hasbro Alpine figure is going to get the whole loadout because it's what a mountain climber needs, and all of those parts and all those shitty parts he comes with, they're not going anywhere near Alpine. I might maybe I'll divvy him up and give him the other figures, but that that is just he's got a tragic loadout because his goggles are cool and the hat that he comes with are great. All of his other accessories suck balls. Um,
It's it's they have another loadout for ripcord, and as often as I say, I do not do 1/12 scale customs. I will be buying that loadout and an airborne second ripcord figure when they do their vintage one, and doing a Halo Navy SEAL figure custom
yeah, I think
1/12 scale. But I don't do 1/12 scale customs.
uh-huh. Yeah. Um um I yeah, I think um yeah, and I have a feeling all those things that they've announced, they'll all get I really think most of the time the accessories, usually it's a gun, maybe two that just sort of about it. But it isn't very often that I get hung up on the accessories. But I saw the Alpine one. I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me with this? Um, um, and then you got the characters like that they knock it out of the park with the accessory pack, like Quick Kick or the
Right.
um, I think I think the Range Viper had a phenomenal loadout of accessories. But then you got Alpine, and what the fuck? I do admit that Jinx needs another sword, and I do wish she had a backpack more like her vintage figure. I wish she actually had the backpack that Quick Kick got with the two swords. People that bitch that she needs two swords, Quick Kick doesn't because the vintage one didn't have two swords. Well, you know what? The vintage Quick Kick probably should have had two swords too. But um, yeah, that's all fine. I don't think those are the type of accessories I don't mind swapping out here or there, just one or two. But man, it's rare when everything a figure comes with is trash. Um,
Disappointed. Alpine was, I've mentioned before that I had I say this figure was my favorite figure as a kid, or that figure was my favorite figure as a kid. I have a list, right, of top favorite figures, and Alpine was definitely on that list. It was one of the early Joes for me. And growing up in Colorado, I mean, you had to have him. You had to have a mountain guy in Colorado. You just had to. So Alpine definitely on that list of figures that got played with all of the time. So
for me, I remember I got my Tiger Force bazooka from Target 2 years ago, and the figure looked so good, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have an Alpine to go with it. And then they put out Quick Kick, and I'm like, now we fucking really need an Alpine figure. Um, and I think the Alpine figure looks great. I think the only thing he doesn't come with is a head sculpt where he's yodeling, and I wish he did, but whatever, that's fine. Um, but um, but yeah, I can't have Bazooka without Alpine. That's gross. Um, at least on the shelf. It's fine if he goes on a mission with Tiger Force by himself, just him. But in my collection, I don't care about Bazooka if he doesn't have Alpine. What's the point?
I do.
Um,
bazooka figure. I will not own a bazooka figure.
I bought it because it looked,
I did
well, it was a Tiger Force and I liked it. But
get the bazooka figure now that the Alpine's coming out, but I'm not going to.
um, but yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think.
One thing that I will mention that I do like about a okay, I like the buck for the um battle core bazooka. That was a fantastic figure. One of the best sculpted figures in the line. Yeah, the colors might not have been the best, but I actually did a custom of that. JD has that custom, I
I
believe.
do.
Um, I absolutely love the battle core bazooka figure, and the bazooka figure in the 25th anniversary line was one of the few figures that had a slightly bigger buck.
Slightly bigger. He was big and bulky, like he should have been.
He
Um,
not get reused a lot. I think they used it in maybe one, maybe two other figures, and then never touched that buck again. And it's a fantastic buck.
they used it for Hollow Point and they used it for Red Dog. Um, and
So,
then the Collectors Club used it for Big Brawler. Um,
so three other figures, two other
but
line one
but those were all limited. They didn't use like they didn't.
did not get reused in the main line,
No,
which,
no,
which sucked for customizers because I fucking love that buck. And the bazooka, didn't that come in a 7 pack too? That no, that did come in.
no. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was on a card by himself. I remember he was in the same wave with Bat and General Hawk.
That's right.
Um,
But I it to this day it still bothers me that that buck did not see a wider distribution in other figures because it is a fantastic buck. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should hunt that figure down, either one of any of those versions that JG just mentioned, because you will.
this is another spot in podcast to drop a picture of the 25th anniversary bazooka because
It's
as janky as some of those figures were, some of them were really well done, and bazooka was one of them.
much as
His
JD.
accessories weren't great. His helmet was atrocious, but the figure itself was really good.
I ended up using that head sculpt when I was back visiting JD. I did a used that head sculpt for Freddie Mercury. I did a Freddie Mercury custom using that.
Yes, and I think it really worked. And that bazooka, yeah, he was big, he was burly looking, and he looked like a real ass kicker. And yeah, it is too bad that they didn't use it more extensively. But like, like when I got the classified Tiger Force bazooka, my first thought was this head sculpt is far better than it had any right being. Because bazooka is a goofy fucking character, and but I'm like, it looks so good in this classified line that, well, yeah, I need an Alpine for him to hang out with. He's got a fishing rod because of that battle core figure. Because it was a joke with that figure that he was wearing fishing gear, like he had a fishing hat on and a fishing vest, and so I decided my classified bazooka, if they're on a Tiger Force mission but they get downtime, maybe he's gonna go fishing out in the jungle, out in the Amazon.
The battle core custom that I made. I did not give him a fishing rod, but I gave him a bazooka and painted on the side in white letters "Gone Fishing."
Yeah, going fishing. So yeah, so that was my. I was in the hobby shop and I walked by like the dollhouse accessories and they had a 1/6 or a 1/12 fishing pole, so I had to get it. But yeah, I'm glad that we're finally getting an Alpine, but thank God I've already got that accessory set on the way. I'm gonna leave it in the box and just wait for Alpine to show off.
We'll wait a little closer to the release of the figure, but I am planning on picking up that set from Gridiron as well. All right, I think that's about all I've got. This has
Good
been
Lord, I think so.
yeah.
So
So I don't
um
where we're at. This is probably gonna be like a 3-hour episode.
That's fine. You know what? If any of our listeners actually make it all through it, well, my hat's off to you and thank you for this nonsense.
This means we need to podcast more often. We just haven't had the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're busy, so
Work has been insane recently, so. All right. I think that's about it. So, as always, please do all that fun social media stuff. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you think about all of the stuff that we've talked about, all the pre-orders that have come up for the new GI Joe stuff, the HasLab stuff, the Eagle Force stuff. Um, Again, are there people or customizers that you want to see on the podcast? Let us know in the comments below. I do look at the comments. We do, both JD and I do respond to comments on the channel. And we do try and get people on that have been requested. So do let us know. And I think I do try and answer I do answer comments in the comment section, and I do answer them on the show too. So um, we do look at the comment section. So again, do all that fun social media stuff, like, share, subscribe, comment below, and as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more episodes.
thank you.